Ow! I have to make a noise so it goes to my face. Hi, everybody, and welcome back to In the Huddle. Today it is episode 7. Scomo and I have two very special guests with ZFarls and SGibs. They're both here to talk with us about Madden 15. So we're going to get to that. But before we do, Scomo and I just want to talk about a quick recap of what happened over the weekend. We had a very good MUT weekend. 3 very, very good cards came out. Scomo, why don't you tell us about those cards?
It was exciting. I was really excited. Obviously, we had the unlimited packs, unlimited legendaries, unlimited all-pros, and unlimited premiums. My wife was very, very cautious, took all the debit cards, made sure that the bank was locked down, made sure everything was good to go before that happened, just so we were still able to eat the next day. But, well, we were good. I got one pack and actually got a hit. Got the Ultimate Legend, Larry Allen. Already did have him, so we gave him away in the stream. But the big card that I was looking for was the new Derek Thomas. He's got 100 hit power, 102 power move. He's got 100 acceleration, and +5 finesse move to your entire defensive team on the field. He's just going to be absolutely nasty out there, left outside linebacker. He's going to replace Sparkle Von Miller for me as the #1 spot. His stats are just pretty much 99 play recognition. He's got 88 zone, 76 man, not bad for a linebacker. That's pretty much going to be blitzing most of the time anyways, or stuff in the run, but he's going to be very, very, very effective. Then you also got Do It for Dan Marino. Slump and I have the same kind of influence about these guys. We kind of just pass him over from the beginning just because he's just so slow. Hopefully, as we talked about last episode with the new awareness improvement of Madden 15, it might make this card a little bit more of an impact. But right now, I would probably still go with the Auto over Dan, the John Elway over Dan. A lot of those other cards are definitely going to give you a lot better scheme, same price, same passing ability, and more agile and more speed. And then today, on Tuesday, you got the final edition cards and the overall 99 final edition Andre Johnson. Going to be a pretty decent card. I mean, not going to be a starter on my team, but he is going to be 99 catching traffic, which is going to be a major factor. He finally got a really well-deserved card. I really thought that it was a nice card for them to bring, especially midweek. This late in the season, once again, they are still bringing us good content. So I'm happy for winning. Any new cards are good cards.
Yeah, that Derek Thomas card looks scary. I played against somebody that had that Derek Thomas card, and what they did, which I thought was kind of clever, was they substituted him in, and they put him at defensive tackle. So because he has such great speed, such great finesse, he was able to get through the line extraordinarily quick. So I don't know, maybe some of you guys consider that cheesing, putting players out of position like that at defensive tackle, but I just thought it was a clever move and a way to get an advantage on the line. At this point in MUT, really anything that you can do to get an advantage, because a lot of the teams out there that you go against are going to be 99 overall. So right now it's all about rethinking strategies and once again trying to make it scheme over team. So that Derek Thomas card, I want him on my team. I'm gonna have to maybe bribe somebody with some other cards that I have sitting in the reserves. I don't know. We'll figure it out.
I was going to say, I just got to make sure that I hold steady real quick because I'm still waiting on that one special guy. So, I mean, I got a few cards. My coins have run down very, very low towards the end of the season. So, I mean, I got a few guys that I'm holding for trade bait, but we're still holding on that one last guy to just finalize this team here. But so we're down to only like 100K left. So we got to use the rest of the bench and the few starters left for trade bait, hopefully next week or the week after.
I'm sitting at 100K right now too, and I just bought that Dwight Freeney card, and I got to tell you, I'm really liking the Dwight Freeney card. It's I've been getting a lot of heat right up the middle with that Dwight Freeney card, which has been it's been fantastic. I used to have Bruce Irvin there, now I put Bruce Irvin on the outside. So either way, I've got a lot of speed coming through the middle, which makes a lot of trouble for people that have those Dan Marinos and those Warren Moons, because like we've talked about so much, Dan Marino and Warren Moon they're not getting the job done as far as mobility goes. And this year in Madden, at least, mobility is just so important. We've talked about that before, but even if you want to be a pocket passer, there's really no reason not to have somebody that gives you that extra dimension. So that's just something that's just how I feel about that Dan Marino card. Also, I don't know if you guys remember this, but Dan Marino's last game in the NFL was against the Jacksonville Jaguars. I don't know how many of you guys saw that game. It was a close game. It was in the playoffs. The Jaguars were able to sneak away a victory, 62-7, I think was the final score. But it was a good game. Dan Marino's last hurrah against the Jacksonville Jaguars. So I just thought I'd throw that in there.
I'm sure Slump has all the hidden Jacksonville stats and all these nice little gems about the Jaguars that not too many people know about.
Actually, here's the thing, though. I got to imagine that for Slump, it's not that hard to remember the Jaguars' playoff wins.
Well, contrary to popular belief, the Jaguars were actually pretty good for a decent amount of time. So, throughout the 90s, we had our fair share of playoff runs. We almost made it to the Super Bowl. We even had a season where we went 14-2, and the only team that we lost to was the Titans, and then we lost to them again in the playoffs. So that was actually the only team we lost to that entire year, including the playoffs, was the Titans.
Pretty sure 1996 that you guys lost to the New England Patriots.
Yeah, and again
2008.
2000, yeah. The undefeated Patriots. It wasn't a fair matchup. No, we should have beat them. Actually, when I was watching that game, I knew that the Jaguars, we kept the Patriots scored, then the Jaguars scored a touchdown, then the Patriots scored a touchdown, then the Jaguars kicked a field goal, and I was like, nope, it's over. And I just threw in the towel. Which nowadays I don't do that. I just hang on to hope until the bitter end. But back then, I don't know. I didn't have the confidence that I should have had. Maybe if I had sent more confidence waves their general direction, we could have came away with a win that game. You never know. That's all right. Well, they made their appearance. So you guys, it would be my honor to introduce ZFarls and Stephen Gibbs, the two co-authors of the Prima Madden guides. Guys, Scomo and I are really excited to talk to you about Madden 15. We understand that there are certain things that you can't tell us just yet. He's got the guide right there, ready to go. Can we get an autographed version of that next time we meet up?
For 15, Madden 15 for sure. I'll send one your way.
Yeah, Madden 16. Do you think that we can get a picture of me doing the slump on the cover?
For sure.
I like it.
All right, good stuff. But we're really excited to talk to you guys about Madden 15. So why don't you guys give us some of your first... I know that you've spent some time working on the game, starting to write the guide and stuff like that. What can you share with us? What are some of the things that you guys can talk about?
We could definitely go over anything that's gameplay or presentation. I know there's a lot of video footage that came out of E3, and then there's a lot of blogs that are actually up on EASports.com that will give you a pretty decent insight as to what they were working on this offseason. So we can also go into any detail about that, but I think Gibbs has some stuff he'd like to share.
Yeah, so I think that the first thing that I'm really excited about for Madden 15 is obviously things like the Colin Kaepernick tattoo that you saw that they came out with. That's going to be really cool and interesting to see this year. See the in-depth, small, minor details that I think really add a lot of value to the game. Coming from a hardcore standpoint, like all of us here, it's usually not the first thing on our radar that we really want to, I guess, see, but it's going to add a lot of value, a lot of depth to the game because you're going to see a lot more guys that are actually looking better in the game. What is that doing right now?
He's trying to give you bunny ears, I think.
I do agree with the detail perspective that Gibbs was just talking about. I think it's something that we overlook a lot, presentation. We just don't really care about it as hardcore gameplay guys. We'll definitely get into talking more about that. But, you know, when you do see the presentation done well and done correct, it really adds another layer onto the game. I know you don't get a lot of that presentation paid off in online head-to-head. Like, as far as Madden 25 goes, you know, you don't get to see the Victor Cruz cutscene or the Cam Newton Superman cutscene when you score a touchdown. But, you know, when you play offline, you're like, whoa, that actually looks really good. And to add all of that happening on the field as opposed to going to a cutscene, I think it's when they said it, I was like, all right, that's fine. But now that I play, when I've played it a few times, it looks very natural. It makes the game just feel like the guys are much smarter, and I think that's a great step for just bringing that level of presentation up towards like FIFA's level, where you want to turn up the commentary and really hear about it. I know they recorded some new stuff, so here.
What I was going to say is, like, you know, you don't look when you're going to get a new game, like, presentation isn't going to be the first thing that I'm looking to see, like, what is improved. But to the people that do play the game all year round, like us, that are still playing Madden 25, the presentation and all those little extra things are what's going to give the lifespan of the game, you know, more enjoyment through it. So, I mean, yes, you know, it's not something I want to be like the first thing I want to talk about, but unfortunately it's, you know, what they've released, and that's what we can talk about right now. But I am excited to see that they tried to give more into it. You know, something where I'm just not going to hit A through to get, like, through the next scene, to just give more enjoyment. Because I remember, like, Tiger and some of those other ones that had some really, really good play-by-play, and even back in the day, like some Dreamcast stuff had some really good innovation that you could do that had that extraness that you got to enjoy, like Breakdown, the halftime shows, and like all that kind of stuff was really cool. So, you know, like you said, it's not something that I was like really excited to see, like, oh, that's what they were talking about, let's get excited about that. But now that you sit back and you're like, oh, that, you know, at least that's better now.
Yeah, what's one thing that I see a lot on forums that I would like dispel is that you see a lot of stuff like, oh, MUT is doing this year. That means that gameplay must have not done this, or that means presentation is getting fixed this year. That must mean that they didn't focus on gameplay. And, you know, I'm not 100% sure how the gameplay or making the video game works, but I'm pretty sure that there's separate teams for presentation, there's separate teams for gameplay, there's separate teams for Ultimate Team. So every team has a goal, and that whole goals come together and make a package of a football game. But I think a lot of people on forums get upset, or they want to see that I'm a presentation guy. I want new commentary. I want a halftime show. That, you know, if they added something new in gameplay, that means I got robbed from an element that I like. But it's not necessarily true. So it's kind of one thing that I would say, like, don't freak out if you didn't hear any news about your specific area yet. But when you go and look at a game like NHL, add in new commentators, you know, they have the new Ignite stuff, and they could work on different things together. And I think that Madden's presentation is going to definitely keep getting more improved.
I think that just from like a holistic approach too, like looking at the entire game, the visual component of it is the first thing that you notice. I mean, when you load the game, that's the first thing that you see is what it's going to look graphically, what it's going to look like graphically, and how it's going to be represented. So if it wasn't improved at all, if it looked like I was playing the exact same game, even if the gameplay mechanics were different, it would kind of feel like I was playing the same game. Because none of that had changed, if that makes sense. That's kind of how I feel about it. I do want to see changes when it comes to presentation and stuff like that, but I'm with you guys. I would much rather see larger improvement, actual gameplay mechanics and stuff like that.
For sure.
Absolutely.
Yeah, it's cool. And it's cool, like, when you play another game, like, so bring it to like another game, like you play FIFA. I don't play with the same teams every time. Like, obviously a lot of Niners and Seahawks and Madden. So you're always kind of, like, hearing that presentation or seeing that stadium. You're not exploring the game and playing with, unfortunately, the Jaguars and the Rams all the time and hearing their stories and all the commentary that they recorded for them. But when I play, like, a different game, and I don't play it 1,000 hours, you know, up in the first week, it's crazy, like, what you hear about the game and what the commentators are saying and how it all, like, comes together as a package, as opposed to Madden that's like you're so hardcore about it. You hear all the commentary, you're like, okay. When you play a game to soak it in and get that experience, and you watch the World Cup and then you go play it in a video game, and you see that the worlds come together. Like NCAA football, when you see that the screen wipes are the same as they are in the game, it's like, wow, this is super real. But Madden, you've suspended that disbelief because you just played it so darn much.
Yeah, and it's interesting that you mention that there aren't a lot of people playing as teams outside of like the powerhouse teams, like the Seahawks and the 49ers. You see those a lot when you're playing online head-to-head mode. But with the way that MUT has kind of been taking the community by storm, Do you think that they're going to try to introduce some of those visual elements into like online Madden Ultimate Team play? That way, like if you're wearing the Jaguars jerseys at the Jaguars Stadium, you might get some of those effects that maybe you won't see because you're kind of forced to play as those powerhouse teams if you want to stay competitive in the competitive online head-to-head market. Does that question make sense?
Yeah, I think that they probably want to take it in that direction. Obviously, I don't really know, when they're going to get to it or when their plans are to get to that type of stuff. But I would imagine that their end goal is to make all modes to be the same, whether it's CFM or whether you're playing online or whether you're playing MUT. Make everything feel like one cohesive unit of game modes. And I know right now what we have, obviously, like Madden 25, like Zach was saying earlier. When you're playing Madden 25 online, you don't get to see all those cool cutscenes, and you don't get to see all that cool stuff that happens after the play and all the production value. So when you're playing online, you kind of lose a little bit of that depth or that immersion. So it kind of hurts that mode a little bit. But at the same time, it makes the game quicker. You get in and out of things quicker. You're not consistently, hit at A to try and go through something because when you play 1,000 games online, you don't necessarily want to be sitting through all that type of stuff. So that's where it's kind of like a balance. Maybe it's not a good thing to have that stuff included in these other modes online. I mean, think of how many MUT games that you have played, Slump, since January, since you started your live stream. Imagine if you had to go through all that stuff and on a consistent basis. It might get a little stale for you at that point compared to a guy that maybe is only playing a 16-game CFM season, at home by himself against a computer.
Yeah, I used to play in the older games when they had the chain gang come out and measure for first downs. That used to bother me so much. You'd have to watch it every time, and just based on the animation that came out, you could already tell whether or not it was a first down.
Yeah.
Just like on the first second of looking at it, you're like, I got a first down. Then you'd have to wait 7 seconds or something for them to finish the whole cutscene. That used to bother me so much.
I will say, the first time that cutscene ever happened was, a similar cutscene to that was, we're playing on Twim, SGibs versus me. I throw a lob ball, Hakeem Nicks, corner of the end zone, 2 seconds left in the game. Catches it. They don't tell me. The ref cutscene comes in, and the ref comes into the end zone. And he goes, touchdown! And you could hear us pause on the audio, wait for the guy, go nuts. But it was early in the game where we didn't know if that was going to be a touchdown or not, and the suspense was crazy. Yeah. But like Gibbs said, once you play it 1,000 times, I personally don't want the presentation elements, cutscenes in online. Because, same thing, when I play FIFA, I just button through them, and then you got to wait and see if the other guy buttons through it. And I just want a quick gameplay experience like MUT. I love, shorter games, just bang out as many as you can, no cutscenes. Once you play 10 games, I'm cool with it. I don't really need to see it anymore. So that's my opinion. But, yeah, ultimately you want to see as many presentation elements in it as possible. And I think putting it right on the field and making the guys just celebrate right when they get up, it looks more natural, and then it'll save time too.
Yeah, that'd be a good point real quick. If they did, for MUT solos, just add more of that presentation. If you're just going to play the solo against the computer, add more of that presentation. But then if you're going to hop into head-to-head season, then just kind of eliminate those things to get that quick play-by-play would be something that I'd be definitely think would be more enjoyable, especially for the solo grind that a lot of people, all those coins and everything you got to do to build up all those coins on MUT, that would definitely give you a little more enjoyment when you're playing all those solos for sure. That'd be something cool. But I think the next question, to move on from the visual effects and that kind of stuff, we've had a little bit about gameplay. We talked about camera angles, and we saw basically the matchup sticks. I've been a big Madden Tips fan for a while. I've been watching you guys for a long time, and the way that I've kind of always looked at you two was Zach was more of the businessman here to have fun and the entertainment aspect of it, and Gibbs was the the serious grinder, and he was the one out there that I just think that he never thought about anything else besides Madden, basically. But the two of you together gives you that that really good balance. I mean, the bottom line is you both eat, sleep, breathe Madden. So I mean, no one really does it better than you guys. But these little things that we're seeing in the adjustments with the cameras, with these matchup sticks, with the tackle cone. Yes, the tackle cone I thought was a little bit more of a beginner thing. You can turn it off. It's not going to be a head-to-head, all that stuff. But, I mean, as those top-tier players, as the person that knows every play, as the person that writes the guide, are any of these features anything going to be – are you going to use any of these, utilize? Are you going to zoom in on a halfback dive? Are you going to be looking up at the matchup stick every play? What's your insight on those things?
Yeah, I definitely think that I will plan on using that zoom camera initially when the game starts, because I want to kind of get to see if it's a new experience that I might enjoy. So you get that more of like a next-gen experience with it zoomed in, and that's definitely a lot of the feedback that people were mentioning at E3. So that's something I'm personally excited to see. As far as the strategy goes, what I'm really, I'll say it one more time, really, maybe 4 more times, really excited about is the over-the-top coverage. It's a new adjustment audible that you have. So the way I would describe it is, in years past, we would to defend deep out patterns, we'd have to use coverage audible and then shade individual receivers outside to stop these outs. Now there is a quick button press of your coverage audible, and then you flick the stick to the outside, and you're able to now instantly play outside leverage on these receivers. So if they do run these out patterns on the sideline, you're going to be able to shut it down a lot quicker. And obviously, for the advanced player, for everyone in this chat right now, it's very easy for us to go ahead and make those adjustments. But I think there's a lot of value for the beginner player, the guy that's not so advanced, not such a veteran at the game. He's going to have a lot more success because of that. And a segue into another similar type of gameplay addition is the new defensive line mechanics. I really believe that adds a lot of value there as well.
Absolutely.
For sure. So, with what Gibbs was saying was just basically, he went real super in depth with some of the adjustments. So, the presentation stuff that will affect gameplay is something like the matchup stick that is going to let you see more than you've ever known before. And same thing with being able to zoom in and out on the camera. That's going to affect what you've been able to see before. So maybe on a run play, like Scomo said, you want to zoom in so that you can hit a certain gap and that you're going to have much closer vision, and then be able to zoom out the camera to go. Standard cam's nice. It gives you a little bit of everything. But, I mean, wide cam is something that people really like. And now you have all 22 cam, which is more like the coordinator cam from NCAA. You can see kind of the whole field. You get more of like a top-down perspective on it. So if you want to, say you're trying to read certain zones, say your opponent's playing a lot of zone coverage, you might be able to actually get a better view of the field. What I think is very interesting is, I am the human matchup stick. We are human matchup sticks. If you play this game a lot, like we all do, you know that Andre Johnson that came out has 99 catching traffic. So when you see him out there, you're like, okay, I know I'm throwing over there, but I know that Night Train's over there. He's got 100 hit power. I know that those two numbers are going to collide, and that's going to give me 50-50 chance. And you know that Trenton Holiday has 98 speed. If he's out wide against the Sherman, he could get beat deep, but if it's a guy like Alshon Jeffrey, he's probably not. He's 6'3". You know all these little things in your head, but being able to see it, especially with positions like offensive line, if you have a run block or pass block advantage, that's going to be helpful, especially for guys that are not newer, because newer guys don't even have the time at the line of scrimmage to look at a matchup stick and be like, oh, I should do this or that. But medium level guys who don't necessarily have all that information sourced in their brain, or maybe they haven't looked at the other guy's roster yet, and don't even know who his players are if they're not playing a team they're familiar with, that's going to really give them a lot of information to use at the line of scrimmage and help them have better strategy while they're there.
Awesome. So one thing that I'm still getting the question over and over. I've seen it on Twitter. I've seen it all over, and it's what Gibbs just touched on. I want to go back to basically how the community phrases it, so they can all understand it. And the question that I get all the time is, and it's been the complaint for the last few years, is that the curls and the outs are OP. That you can throw curls and outs all day, they're OP. So from what the description is, what you're saying is that quick adjustment, that it doesn't look like you're going to have to be really fast on your sticks or anything like that. you're saying that quick adjustment, what you're seeing is going to be able to help shut down some of those times where you think you're like, I know what he's running, I know this play, I'm going to call this adjustment, and you should have better chance of success, is what you're saying?
That is what I'm saying. I would say also though that it necessarily wasn't OP. It was OP because it was very difficult to actually make the adjustment. So you had to, make all those button presses, which was hard to do. But if you did do it, you did shut it down for the most part. So while it was overpowered, I believe it was overpowered because of the difficulty of learning the steps to stop it. Whereas now it's just a button press and then flick the stick and boom, you're done. Where before it was coverage audible, button press, receiver icon, and then flick the stick. So it was like 4 actions. So now you minimize the number of actions that you have to take to get to your end result, and it's going to be a lot easier for people to have success stopping those OP routes and things that people like to go to.
And also, like along those lines, it's like now if they know that you're going to throw an out, then you can throw an in if they're shading outs every single play because they're tired of it. Now you can shade an in and at least feel like that they knew what you were doing and it was like you made an adjustment off of what they were doing, as opposed to like out routes are really hard to stop. It takes 2 zones to stop it. That's why they're overpowered. Like now it's just much easier and it's going to create more of like a chess match style battle.
Do you think that it's with the way that competitions are going, both with online head-to-head and as well as with MUT, do you think that these newer adjustments and things like the matchup stick, do you think that it's going to create more parity in the competition world so that maybe people that weren't as top tier are going to be able to take it to that next level and compete with the people like ZFarls and Problem and Shugs, all of those top tier players? Or do you think that it's just going to make those top tier players they might not need that stuff, and they're just going to keep playing their. Are those types of strategies that those people have been using to be successful? Is it still going to be successful, or is it going to allow maybe some of those medium level players that you were talking about to make those quick adjustments to shut down the strategies that maybe people like Shugs and Problem have seen such great success with so far?
Yeah. That's a great question, by the way. I personally don't think that it will really matter for that upper echelon player. When you're talking to guys like Problem, you're talking like people like Shugs and even ZFarls. What makes them all special Madden players is the fact that they're able to adjust, and it really isn't about the overpowered plays that they're running. It's their ability to recognize certain things in game and then adjust on the fly and be able to adapt to what's happening in the game. And that's really the biggest difference between someone that might be considered a average Madden player and someone that's considered an elite player. It's not about necessarily the team they're using. It's not about even the plays they're using. It's their ability to react on the fly and make the correct decisions at the correct times and make big plays. And that's really the main factor in what makes a really elite Madden player.
I'll give an analogy that I like to use is if you watch the World Series of Poker, it's all about luck. Everything's so lucky, everybody's lucky, but why are the same poker players always at the final table every single year? Well, because it's really not about luck. It's about getting into good positions consistently over time, getting into good hands where you have good odds. Yeah, you're not going to win every hand where you have the advantage. You're not going to shut down on every 3rd and 17. You're not going to always get a stop. But if you're in more 3rd and longs, if you've got your opponent in more 3rd and longs and more 3rd and shorts, you're going to have more consistency. And the reason that a guy like Problem's been around forever is because he gets himself in really good positions to play the game and put the pressure on his opponent. I will say though, the better that it is for players to make simple adjustments and shut down like the little things that are just annoying to slow down, like to have more tools for that medium level player, it's going to make it easier for them to get better. But still, to go to that next level, you need to be able to practice. If a medium level guy is willing to put in the time, that's when you're going to see them peak. They're going to have some type of thing where they get confidence, and then they're going to continue to ride that confidence wave the rest of the way up. But hopefully those things do make it easier for them, but that is the reason, like Gibbs mentioned, that you do see those guys winning consistently, even though it's like they're like lucky or they have cheap plays. I mean, rarely do you see a guy. I can think of a few guys that were really good at like one game. Like certain guys, they were really good at Madden 09 because it required you to run curls and fullback dives. So like anybody could be good at Madden 09. But a lot of those guys that were good at Madden 09 still good at Madden 10, still good at Madden 11. It's rare that you see like a guy who's really good at Madden 11 and then all of a sudden he's just not good anymore at 12. And if you do that, like that's not the stuff we want to teach you. We want to teach you stuff that's going to make you a successful player over the long term. Teach you how to think for yourself, how to, stop the run, not just with a play that's only going to be good for 1 year because it's OP. That it just teaches you like good concepts, good football concepts that are going to work year to year.
Right, and to stem off of that point about teaching good football concepts, like one thing we always talk about all the time in regards to stopping the run, this has kind of been our MO over the years, is in order to stop the run, you have to have the numbers advantage in the box. So, the easiest way that someone can get better at run defense is just put more defenders in the immediate area of where the line of scrimmage is. So, typically, if you put 9 defenders in that area, you're going to have success stopping the run. So a great formation to think about that with is the 46 normal formation, and it's in the 46 playbook. You can also find it in the Dallas Cowboys and Minnesota Vikings playbook in Madden 25. That 46 normal, if you take the safety, bring them in the box, you're immediately going to have 9 defenders that are around the ball to be able to put you in a good position to stop the run. And that is something that doesn't change from Madden 09, Madden 10, Madden 55. It doesn't matter what it is. It's always going to be effective because stopping the run is the numbers game. It's mathematics.
You weren't supposed to talk about Madden 55.
I know, sorry. Madden 55, that's an NDA for that. But it doesn't matter what game it is. That's just pure fundamental football. That's just pure numbers, mathematics. And that's kind of what we want to teach the community in general.
Yeah, and that's one thing that I love about the Prima Guides is that the strategies that you guys are teaching is you're not teaching everybody, the plays that won the champion. You're not teaching everybody just run buck sweep 100% of the time and you'll win 75% of your games. You're taking real life strategies, things that you learn on Football Sunday, and you're incorporating or you're teaching people how they can use those same smart coaching tips and put it into Madden. So you're teaching them. Like, first off, what adjustment is going to stop if somebody's running all over you, and then you're teaching them how to do it. And that's something that I've always admired about the Prima Guides, and how you don't get caught up in, like, the year-to-year, the buzz plays. You get caught up with just continually teaching people good football skills and good mechanics. So that's one thing that I really like about the Prima Guide. And I'm excited about, the Madden Guide for 15. I'm definitely going to have my hands on a copy, and you'll be able to see me on stream. Like, I'll be like, okay, what do I do? This guy's running all over me. And then I'll be like, oh yeah, I'll just bring 9 into the box here and shut down this run, and then we'll figure out what to do once he catches me over the top.
One thing we like to do is make sure that anything that we don't like to face or we think is overpowered, it's something that gets some focus in the offseason. That's one small thing we can do as game changers is go to our site and get feedback from people, go to the MUT community, get feedback from them, and provide that feedback. So, hey, buck sweep seems like it's overpowered. It's it's commonly run online. We try and teach people how to stop it and counter it during the season, and then after the season, try and get them, whatever's causing that play to be considered overpowered, focus on that and get them to fix that up for the upcoming season. So, I could sit there and run buck sweep, and it's an effective play. But at the end of the day, you saw a guy like Tweezy, who's known for running the buck sweep, win the game with pretty much a punt return. And, everything can be shut down. There's just really nothing that, at this area of a Madden game, that can't be at least slowed down to a reasonable point. So that's part of what makes the game fun to play is like, okay, I know what's coming. I got to lock it up. And then you kind of get that reward feeling for shutting it down.
Yeah, and then once you learn those tips on how to shut down a play, for example, the buck sweep, once you know how to shut it down, you love it when people run the buck sweep against you. You're like, yes, I know exactly what this guy's doing. And I know how to shut it down. I can stop it, and then it's like an easy win. A lot of times if they don't have those adjustments, but like you were talking about with Tweezy, and what we were talking about earlier with those upper tier players, is that they're going to have the adjustments. So Tweezy, known for running the buck sweep, a lot of people call him a cheeser because of it. Guess what? His buck sweep gets shut down by the Beavers, and he has to make adjustments and figure out how to win games other ways. So that's what it's all about.
Pass he was throwing like a streak inside left pass. tender. I mean, that's all touch, that's all feel, that's 100 reps before you go to bed every night. That's not easy. That's something that middle guy that Scomo's talking about that wants to get there is not doing, that Tweezy's doing. He's throwing those 100 routes. He's hanging out in streams. Every time I go into a stream, freaking Tweezy's in there.
Yeah, he's in
And he's
every
probably
stream all
just
the
like
time.
looking at good plays, finding them, stealing him, borrowing them for his playbook. So I love to see that, Like, yeah, this guy's actually really good because he's in all these streams all the time. He's always playing MUT, as opposed to somebody that just, I'll go to that tournament, and then when they lose, they're like, oh, games, it's stupid. It's stupid. That guy Tweet's not even good. Like, no, he's pretty good.
Yeah, that's why he's on a 207-game win streak. It's not a fluke. But that actually brings me to a point that I was talking about on stream the other day, because people were asking me for tips about how to get better at Madden, and I was trying to tell them it's all about deliberate practice. I mean, you have to have that end goal in mind. Like, you want to be able to run slants, you have to practice slants. You can't just expect to get better at slants by playing a lot of Madden. So, like, you should, like, try to, I don't know, compartmentalize your goals one at a time and just get better at the game one thing at a time. So, like, if you want to get good at a run game, find a couple run plays, practice them until you know them successfully. Then maybe once you've had the 1,000 reps on that run play, run the slants and, like, learn how to run the slants and do 500 reps on slants. And that's how you're going to improve, because then all of a sudden you can run plays, you can run slants, then you can add a deep pass, practice the deep pass, see what it works against and what it doesn't, learn those adjustments. I really think that if you want to become one of the top tier players, having deliberate practice about having an end goal, what do I want to be able to do, and then practicing it until you have it mastered, I think is huge.
What you said is, like, people are probably looking at you like, if you just say run slants 100 times, like, it really doesn't take that long to go into practice mode, pick the play quick slants, pick a random play on defense with 2 controllers, and hike the ball 100 times. It probably takes, like, 10 minutes to get 100 slants run. People overestimate, like, how easy it is or how hard it would be to practice. Like, super easy. Just call quick slants, learn the timing, try and read defenses. It doesn't take a lot of time. I know I just didn't want you to scare people away by thinking, like, oh, 500 times, he must be a maniac. I don't have all day to play. It's like, it doesn't really take that long to get pretty good. I say 100 reps before bed every night, and that's really a pretty good way to stay on your path.
How come I'm in practice mode 10 hours a day then?
10 hours a day.
Sometimes it's like that.
Back there. I see it hanging up behind you.
Yeah, when the game comes out, that's usually how long I'm in practice. One thing I think that's really cool about the deliberate practice that you had mentioned, Slump, is that's actually something I do specifically. Usually in the beginning part of the year, what I'll do is I'll get into games with people, and I'll just tell them I'll say I'm going to run one play only all game. And whether it's like an I-form halfback stretch or one certain type of pass, is because I want to just see what happens over a course of an entire game and how I have to kind of like adapt and change the play to make it successful against specific defenses. And from there, you then learn how to kind of alter the play, make adjustments to the play to have it be successful against those different defenses that you see, so that when you do get in a situation where you're actually playing a game that might mean something to you, you then now are able to better adjust and adapt to what's happening to you, rather than just kind of like freezing and not knowing what to do because you've never really practiced, never been in that situation before. So I think that's a great way to go about doing it, is if you go into a game, have the mindset, I'm going to only run this one play, get in a game with a buddy or a friend or play an unranked game online, and have that mindset, because what it does is it mimics like playing almost like 100 different types of games, with that play, because you create so many more individual situations where you have to adapt with that one play.
Yeah, and it'll also kind of improve or increase your confidence. The more plays that you do it with, the more plays you're going to have as muscle memory just in the back of your head that you can call on in any given situation. So when you get into games online and you're in maybe like the fourth quarter and you have to drive down the field, you're not worried about it, and you're like, oh, I have to find a new play that I hope is going to work against this. You're like, I know exactly what plays are going to be able to get me down the field as fast as possible based on what I've seen from this guy's defense so far, because I went against it, because I ran that slant 100 times in practice. I now have the confidence that I'll be able to make it work in this game. So
in the game between my first round MUT game and my second round MUT game, I only ran gun bunch D spot. Like that's the only play that I ran for the whole weekend. I just kept running it, and he had been telling me to do it for a long time, and I was like, all right, I know how to run it, but I didn't like really know how to run it. You know, like I knew it, but I didn't really know it, and it took me like an entire weekend of just playing MUT games, pretty much only running that play. 95% of my play calls were that play, and learning how to mix it up. If they take away this, do I go here? How to audible or how to hot route out of it? And I ended up winning the second round game basically on the back of that play, big 3rd and 7s converting, and that was really big. But yeah, it's getting those reps in. And the other thing is like don't try and make something a thing. I feel like we try and do that sometimes as Madden players. All of us are guilty of it. Like I really want to run slant routes. And if slant routes just aren't that good in the game for one reason or another, like if you've run them 100 times and they're just not really working, don't try and make it a thing. The Saints playbook always has like some really cool plays like tight end screens, like PA tight end screen. I'm always like, I want this tight end screen to be just this like secret awesome play that nobody else knows about, and it's so cool to run, but like it doesn't really work that well. Like certain plays just don't work as well as other plays, and once you've tried those out, like you got to let them go. Like that PA tight end screen, I want that to be a thing. I want to bust that out on somebody for a TD. It's a sick play, but if it's not a thing, like it's just not a thing,
Absolutely. And one thing I guess I wanted to kind of talk about, like what Gibbs was saying, like as soon as he gets the game, first 10 hours, he's going hard on the practice mode, and that's kind of the one thing I really want to touch base with you guys now is I've been seeing both of you put in a lot of hard time now in MUT. Farls, I saw you did a great job competing in the Invitational. We're seeing hopefully more tournaments and all kinds of competition evolve around MUT. With you guys making the Prima Guides and with the winner's kit that I've been buying the winner's kit for the last 2 years. I think I even bought an individual playbook maybe 3 years ago, which I think was my first purchase, and then just went with the whole package the last 2 years from you guys. And I know the way that you guys always look at those stuff is those teams, those individual players, and how you break up those plays. Are you guys maybe looking at anything little? Are you thinking about more MUT-related stuff? What's your mindset on that first day? Is MUT now there, your first day?
I will say that I had a blast playing MUT this year, and I think a part of the reason was, number one, the community. People like yourself, people like Slump, everyone, the community is so welcoming, and that, number one, makes for a good experience. Number two, it was such a breath of fresh air. To play with different teams, to always feel like I have something to do rather than just go and play a ranked game with the Niners and they're done and there you are. And I play 1,000 ranked games with the Niners, right? So it adds another element of crafting your team to fit your scheme, which is really cool, and that's a lot of fun. As far as our strategy goes, we definitely are interested this year in picking up the MUT experience better or increased with MaddenTips.com, and we're really looking forward to being able to give tips this year to people that are looking for those MUT strategies.
Because I know one thing that I would like to see is like when I go with when I get like those guides and stuff like that, the way like you break down, you're like this playbook would be really effective with like this team, instead of like maybe generalizing those things, like I would love to see maybe go about the stats. Like for this playbook, you really want to look for a linebacker that has really good finesse moves because we're going to be running this play with him. Or you really want to try to have good press coverage with your DBs because we're going to be running bump and run coverage a lot. I think that would be a really, really cool aspect, especially for all the MUT players out there, to be able to take all that top-level information that is there for all tournament stuff and be able to generalize it within MUT. And I mean, that would be something I'd be really excited to see for sure.
Definitely. It's been great to have, the ability to give people tips. Like people are always like, why do you do more MUT tips now? We don't like MUT. It's like, guys, you're getting gameplay tips, whether or not you need to know how to stop the outside run in head-to-head or if you need to know how to stop the outside run in MUT. the principles are going to be the same. But definitely agree with you, like making sure to apply the playbook stuff. So, hey, this guide is for the San Francisco 49ers playbook. You can use it with any team, but you're going to have the most success if you use a quarterback with 85 speed, a halfback with 90 truck. You know, that way they can go in on their shopping list and have, okay, I'm going to excel if I put these guys in the right positions. Because that's really what our guides are about, are not just giving you the setups to win, but letting you know why we're putting those guys in those positions. Like, why do you need to have a defensive tackle with certain block shed rating at this spot? Well, because he holds up the, you know, all these little intricacies that we're figuring out during all these practice modes, all these sessions, like all these little details that we do. Gibbs always rides me because all these little details. Setup 1, there's 7 setups for one play in some of these specific blitzes, and you might use setup 1 80% of the time. You might use setup 2 15% of the time, and then you might only need setup 3 through 7 1% of the time. And medium guy is going to use setup 1, and he's going to do really well. Medium guy's going to do really well with setup 1, but he's not going to take the time to go in and learn setup 3, learn setup 4. But the problem is when it comes down to 4th and 7, and his opponent converts a 4th and 7 to win the game, and he says, "Man, I wish there was a way to stop that." It's like setup 7 was the way to stop that. It was the cover 2 version of that where you send 6, because he made the adjustment to setup 1 and blocked a guy, and you didn't have the ability to send two-way heat because you didn't follow the thing. So like all these little details are things that we really take our pride in, that we're learning from practice mode and learning from testing the ratings in the game, and we like to make sure that we put that through. So definitely, like you said, adding in more ratings to help people know where to get guys in the best positions to win. And then like Gibbs always busts on me for not, like, I won't sub in. So for most games, like, I know people laugh at me because I use Donald Pens, and the only reason I use Donald Pens is I had one on my roster. Every time I played a MUT head-to-head seasons game, played 80 games, I never subbed in Donald Penn because I was too lazy. Like, I didn't want to take the time to press RB in my buck sweep formation and sub in Donald Penn. I'm sure Greg Olsen will hold up fine out there. Like, not worth my time. And then I got a turnover in the first, and then I saw that my opponent had 3 Donald Penns, so I'm like, whatever, I guess I need 3 Donald Penns. I don't know, why not? And then as soon as I got that turnover and this game was serious, now all of a sudden I'm going to take all the extra steps to win because the game was like serious. But you need to have that type of preparation like all the time so that you're used to it in those situations. That's kind of my opinion on that. Like all these little details, 90% of the time they don't matter, and I'm like, Gibbs, you're cuckoo. But when they come in and Donald Penn steals a block because you took the extra time, went the extra step, it pays off. It's so worth it. It's so worth it. And that's, like what you said, going from a medium level guy, you can be pretty good. But getting to that like upper echelon it's all these little details.
You're welcome, Files. You're welcome for that.
There's one comment here I would like to touch on that basis right there with all these formations. I know your guys' guides, and I've been using a lot of the playbooks, and I mean I've been playing them for so long. I mean I use it like the way I describe it is I definitely use you guys as a base, and then try to just mod my own play style off of the guide that you guys give me. That way I still enjoy the game. I'm not just doing everything that you guys tell me. With all the setups on defense and going through the adjustments, the one thing that really gets me when I'm like going through, and you see a lot of people that get on me all the time on stream, and maybe you will have a tip for me to this. I get a lot of feedback for people, that jump into my stream every once in a while, and they're like, he uses the defensive tackle a lot on defense. Like, he doesn't know what he's doing. The reason why I'm on using defensive tackle is because I'm trying to get the 9th adjustment in real quick that Gibbs told me to do. I can't click the buttons fast enough. And now I'm trying to make the adjustment after the guy's already hiked the ball, and there I am on the defensive tackle. So,
especially in a laggy game when you can't make the adjustments, and then you end up like that happens to me too, and I end up running trying to cover the deep pass with like Warren Sapp, and it's just because I couldn't make the adjustments fast enough. I know exactly what you're talking about.
The struggle is real.
Yeah, no, that's a real thing, and that definitely can happen. I personally think that the downfall for a lot of people when it comes to adjustments is that I personally don't think they go into practice mode. And maybe that's not true for you, but I think a lot of people will just look at the guide or they'll look at the tips and then they'll just jump into game and think that, oh, I'll just do the adjustment while I'm in game. It doesn't really work that way. You really need to go into practice mode and just sit there, and it has to be muscle memory. Like no joke, you should be able to go to Denny's in the middle of the night and just be able to have your controller with you and just rattle off your setups. Like you should be able to just do it and you sleep without knowing, and that's how the best players. That's why they adjust the best, because they're not thinking about the adjustments they have to make. They're just doing it. They're just reacting in muscle memory, and they're just going. All their energy is spent on what is my opponent doing, and they're thinking 3 plays ahead. They're not focusing on, okay, crash the line, crash it down, spread the linebackers, spy, blitz, coverage audible, shade out, cushion coverage, go. They're not thinking that. They're just thinking what their opponent's doing, and then muscle memory takes over for the adjustments.
I will say, you do have to adjust if your opponent is trying to not let you set up adjustments, and you are. One thing Gibbs does well is he knows what adjustments are pertinent to the play being a success. So what he always says is if you are going to set up a run defense, like Trio Sky, that's my favorite run D, right? So if I baseline coming out of the huddle, I crash down, crash up. That takes 1 second, and I don't even need to see the screen to get it done. So that's huge. But to make that play even better, that detail stuff we talk about is I want to get down on the D lineman and put him in a contain. So then I need to see the screen, and that's what takes the bulk of my time. But
also, the D tackle on the quarterback spy, you always forget that one.
I don't ever do that.
Yeah, but
that's the detail. That one too all the time.
That's the detail. That's the detail I'm talking about.
No, that makes
so hard to get that one in.
But it's
it's not that hard.
So those two. No, but I would agree. I would say that's hard, Scomo. So I would agree with you. I'm gonna agree with you and say, yeah, if you get stuck in the D tackle more than once, then
correct.
Just make the contain, because the contain's what really makes the play work. This QB spy is nice. It's extra. It's not necessary. So if you can get the contain and get back to your linebackers, great. And then all of a sudden, if he's not snapping it right away, and then you got time to move a linebacker or do something else. But, those 4 things are easy. But if you want to man up that D tackle on a tight end, if you want to spy that D tackle, those are later in the game. And those are, like you said, you take the base. You take the base of what we give you. Well, he's hitting me to the flat now. Okay, drop a flat. Your brain will come up and learn those things. But what's interesting is whenever he's teaching me a blitz, I'm crash, spot. I can't even do it until 3 days later when I've practiced it. He'll tell me a really good play. I'll try and I'll get texted a phone. I'll get texted a setup just on the best blitz at 2 in the morning, and I'm what? I don't, this doesn't even work. And then I'll come in and it'll be until the nickel strong stuff is fantastic. But I got texted that at 2 in the morning one night, and I'm I'll try this on my next game, and I'm bait linebackers? Wait, which kind do I blitz? I don't
Gibbs was at Denny's with a controller when he thought of that blitz. Just imagining the game. And he's I got a text.
Really factors.
I bring my controller everywhere I go. I bring it to church. I bring it to Denny's. I bring it to the grocery store. I'm just always doing setups.
Check out this. I got Xbox paddle, PS3 paddle, Xbox One paddle, PS4 paddle. Just in case. Just in case it goes down in here.
Ready to go.
I know firsthand, and it might have been one of my best experiences, and I can still tell you, Gibbs, that I don't care if I spent 1,000 hours in the lab room, and if I slept, showered, and ate with my controller in my hand, I can't set up a play as fast as you. And it was even 4 o'clock in the morning, I think, with you and Tweezy. It sounded like it was like a little dance competition, because it was dead silence in the room, but all you hear is just massive amount of clicking. And I think Farls is with me, and I'm sure he puts in even more time than I do, that you just have that extra level. I don't know if it's double jointed, that you have something going on there, I mean, maybe the wife enjoys it a little bit, but you know, the way that you can adjust those plays very well, you know, I don't. That's that extra step, and I mean that is what the adjustments, the way you can read the plays, and all that kind of stuff is what does separate the next person. And by you being able to click that button faster and adjust back to your free safety, your middle linebacker, is I think what separates some people from the other, and that is what separates you. But it's something that you just don't give a lot of people credit for. You're always putting it on us that we're not labbing enough. We're not labbing enough.
I know.
That's why I teach the ice D. I just say, hey, do the ice D, get these setups, and then when you need a blitz, do it. Because for me, every snap, our brains work differently though. Like there really is like a philosophy behind it. Is Gibbs spends his time in practice mode labbing. I personally spend my time in games labbing against the computer. Problem does the same thing. We both take every team, every playbook, see what's effective, and then like once we kind of figure out like, okay, the Cowboys playbook is more effective than this playbook. I don't know why. But then you like slowly go back and retrace your footsteps. Let me use that Arizona playbook again. Okay, it doesn't really it takes me a while to figure out. I don't know why the Seahawks playbook. I can't use the Seahawks playbook. Like it has all the plays that my other playbooks that I really like have. But for some reason, when I use it, I can't. It never turns out well. I don't know what that subtle thing is about it, but it's putting in the time with it. You can come up with a scheme in practice, but you still got to take it into the game.
When you use that Seahawks playbook is the day that I beat you that time, so we'll just use that as the excuse.
Right, it's just got something different about it. Like pistol, I couldn't figure out what it was until about 10 games using the pistol playbook. It's that like they don't have any 3rd and 1 or 3rd and 2 runs besides the QB sneak that can get you that one quick yard, where like single back ace, you're getting 2 yards every time that you want it.
I would say that talking about the adjustments, the big thing with that is I don't know if I'm the only one that does the same repetitions or the same like adjustments in the same consistent pattern. So it's always like base a line, spread your line, like always doing the same steps in the same order. Do you guys do that?
I definitely do. Every adjustment that I make, I'm always gonna base the line first. I'm always gonna do everything that I can possibly do before I have to actually click on and make like an individual adjustment. So yeah, I definitely. It's always the same order, and I think it's just because that's how it's practiced. So you kind of get into the habit, and maybe when I was learning it, I didn't always do it in that same order, but I found that this was the way that was going to get me to where I needed to be the fastest, so that I wasn't stuck running Warren Sapp trying to cover Randy Moss.
Yeah, it's really important, and I think that I don't know. I think maybe it's because I do spend that time in practice just running the setup. Where maybe that's why I can do it a little faster is because I'll just, like Zach was saying, like when he practices, he's in there playing games, and that might be why he's better at adjusting on the fly than I am. Like he's much better at being able to like kind of come out of his shell in a game and do something that like he might not be comfortable doing, and he's really good and really has a lot of success doing that. Where like I don't feel as good doing that. Like I have to kind of stick to what I know and what I practice, and I can't really break out of the mold, kind of from that in the game. That's where I struggle. And I've always kind of thought that like if you could combine Zach and I into one Madden player, we would maybe potentially be better than Problem.
I think it comes back to the way that you guys are talking about how you have different styles of practicing. Like you spend a lot of time in practice mode running the same setups over and over, making sure that you're doing the setup as fast as possible and that the setup is working against whatever play you're practicing against. Whereas he's going to spend his time actually going into games and trying to learn a playbook on the fly. It makes for more adaptability. I do the same thing that Farls does. And like all of my labbing is done on stream. I don't play the game when I'm not streaming. So when I want to learn a new playbook, I just load up the new playbook and I hop into games, and then I figure it out as I go. And like if a play works, I'm like, oh man, I think I just found a money play. And then I'll run it like 10 more times, and it turns out it was a total fluke, and I just got like lucky, And then I'll move on, and I'll be like, well, that obviously didn't work. But I'm still doing that same repetition where if I find a play that works, I'm going to run it over and over and over and over again. And what I'm doing is just practicing that play. So I'm just kind of like working in that muscle memory, so I'm able to make adjustments as quick as possible on the fly. So I think that, like, for more adaptability, maybe you should steal some of Farrell's practice strategies, Gibbs.
Yeah, the way my mind works and when I play is I have to know, like, specifically what's going to happen. Like, I have to know how the defense is going to react. I have to know how the offense is going to react when I do something. So if I were to run a specific route combination, or if I run a specific blitz, I want to know exactly what the outcome is going to be. Like, if the defense is in a cover 2, so I know what to expect when I run that route combination. And if I read cover 2, I know, like, 95% like confidence, like, this is what's going to happen when I do that. And that's how I base what plays I call, when I call them, what situations, because I know for the most part, like, I know the percentage wise, like, this is going to work against this because I've spent that much time practicing it in practice mode in the lab. Whereas, like, I feel like in that controlled environment, you can learn that information and you can learn that about the plays, where it's like when you're on the fly, you gain that adaptability, you gain the ability to run different things and adjust outside of your cocoon, but I feel like you lose the ability to have the utmost confidence that, like, this is going to work against this.
Where Gibbs runs into trouble, like where it becomes flawed, is when he spends so much time learning how to stop one specific thing. So, like, he really hates when buck sweep is good. In Madden 13, Pat's wheel drag was like this play that was like unstoppable. Not really, but like that's what everybody was running, was this play, Pat's wheel drag. So he needed to learn how to stop Pat's wheel drag. So he literally was in practice mode for 10 hours trying to stop Pat's wheel drag, where it's like he'd call, and he's not even trying to stop it. He's trying to stop it, like, based off of whatever play he really likes to run in the first place. So say he really liked to run, like, a cover 3 that season. He'd be like, all right, well, I got to man up the wheel. Like, I got to man up the wheel on the left. I can use the one on the right. If I drop a hook by this guy. And then all of a sudden, like, when you look at his play by the time he's done with it, it's not even close to cover 3. It's like, you just made man under. Why don't you just try calling 2-man under? Why don't you try switching it up and getting out of your comfort zone? Like, you're a maniac. Like, it's like, dude, you just literally spent 10 hours telling me how to stop Pat's wheel drag, and, like, when you're explaining to me, it's like you're writing down the recipe to, like, build a rocket ship. Like, you're creating this, like, super Frankenstein play where you're better off just being like, oh, if I call quarters 2-man under, that actually just kind of stops it.
I think that's where I get into trouble. Like, that's when I lose. It's like because of that hyper focus on.
And then you play a guy who never runs Pat's wheel drag once. You've now labbed 10 hours stopping Pat's wheel drag.
And then you lose in the Madden Challenge in Las Vegas, first round, the live finals, because the guy didn't run Pat's wheel drag.
Right, and it's like buck sweep. It's like, all right, well, if they run buck sweep to the right, this Sam Shark play just kills it. Like, this Sam Shark play will just light up buck sweep to the right. And then it's like the guy comes out, flips it, and you're like, uh-oh, really weak left. You know, like, and I know you were good enough to adjust, but it's like, yeah, if you get super, super, super hyper-focused on stopping strong power, it fries your brain. Then all of a sudden they run something else, and you're like, I don't know how. It's like in Mean Girls when she used to be really good at math, and then she, like, knows the answer to the question, but she's been just doing, like, being an idiot for so long, like, it all comes back. Like, I don't even know what play would stop a smash concept right now because I'm so hyper focused on something. So that's where some of the practice mode stuff can go, like, wrong. But for me, I mean, like for Slump, you really can't run a play you've never called. Like, what's good about some of the offensive playbooks is they have similar concepts. So, like I said, if you like Seattle and you've ran the Niners book, you're going to see some plays in there that's similar. You're going to know that you have 5 wide plays. You're going to know you have, gun bunch in some of these formations. You cannot win consistently by calling random plays. Like, it just doesn't work that way. The Seattle Seahawks never went in on their during the Super Bowl and ran a play in that game that they never practiced during the week. And they were like, yeah, I bet that play would actually be pretty cool right now. That play looks actually pretty good in our playbook. We should try that. Like, teams don't do that, and I go rogue sometimes, and it's never a great long-term strategy. So, like, for me, that's something that's bad. Like, not knowing on 3rd and 10 when he shut down Z spot to the right, that if I put the out and the in, it's unguardable based off what he's doing. But I haven't put in those time for steps. I'll just like call a different play that's random. Like, I bet that will work. And like it does work, and you can still base it on football, but you don't know the timing, you don't know the practice. And if they take that one thing away that you thought was going to be open, then you take the sack, or you end up scrambling, and that's why mobile quarterbacks are clutch. But yeah, there's a point in the season where I was changing up my playbooks and having a good time, where like Nick scrambling won me a lot of games, and people be like, "You're not even good." I'm like, still pretty good, but yeah, no, you're right. I shouldn't be calling these ridiculous plays that I don't know how to do. I shouldn't be having a playbook live that I've never practiced.
Yeah, what I was doing for a while, I do this sometimes when like somebody is shutting down my offense. Like I have my main offensive plays, and I go to them every single game. But if somebody's shutting them down, what I like to do, which you guys probably wouldn't recommend, I guess, is I like to go just ask Madden, and then I've got 3 plays to choose from. Plays I would probably never call myself if I just saw them in the playbook. But it gets me calling them, and a lot of the times those weird plays that I would never consider running are the types of plays that are not because what I was doing wasn't working. Those are the types of plays that will work against this person's defense.
I like
so,
it. I
like that strategy.
So I like it. Gibbs would not like it, but here's the thing: like when I play Gibbs, he's gonna do something so advanced and like man up this guy, man up that guy, man up this guy, and then you saw it on Twim 101. Maybe you didn't. If not, I'll recap it. I ran for 300 yards against him on 10 carries.
I beat you the last 2 times we played. Not only beat you, I destroyed you.
We're specifically talking about Twim 101 though. You were doing like this crazy.
Right. But I specifically crushed you the past 2 games.
10 carries, 300 yards. I mean,
but you want to talk? I mean, that's like talking about something that happened like 15 years ago. The most recent games we played, I smacked you.
So that means you can't talk about any more Patriots Super Bowls then, so we're good.
I set myself up for that.
And also, I beat you the last time we played Rashad Jennings.
That doesn't count.
That doesn't count. Well, I think the last question that I really wanted to touch base on with you guys was, take away the God stuff, take away your competition stuff, take away the job aspect of Madden. I want to go back to, Gibbs and Farls as a kid. When Madden 15 comes out and you guys, get your full unlocked game, if it's before, if it's whatever it is, the date doesn't matter. But when you have your first game and you're going to sit down and you throw it into whatever system, PS4 or Xbox One, what's the first thing that you guys are going to be excited about and want to see?
MUT 15. I'm just excited for MUT in general. Nothing specific, not like any type of mode or anything. Just I really started playing MUT this year for the first time, and I really got into it. I really enjoyed it. I really loved the community aspect of MUT. You always felt like you had someone that was around willing to help you. There's always people willing to play games. And that community aspect is what really, really made me enjoy Madden 25 on next gen and on current gen. So as we head into Madden 15, the thing I'm most excited for is to continually focus on MUT, working and playing with the community, and watch this thing continue to grow.
I really want to. I mean, the first thing I always do is just play like a play now game. I always take out probably the Giants and take on a division rival team. Just kind of like play a play now game. Like, just call random plays. Be afraid to like lose to the computer, because I tell you what, the computer with the new zone coverages that we've seen at E3 are going to be pretty. It's going to be pretty darn good. I mean, I doubt I'm going to be able to beat it, blindfolded. It's going to be pretty hard to play the computer this year, I think, if you're just calling random plays and you don't have your game plan, and like you're learning all the new stuff about the game, all the little intricacies. So I'm excited to do that. Aside from that, though, I'm excited to just kind of like settle in and just drop some MUT packs. Like, I really want to just open packs. Last year, I bought a 50 bundle like the opening weekend, so I had already played the game like a ton leading up to it, and like by the time the game came out, I'm like, all right. I had no online friends to play with at that point, so I was like, I don't really want to go online and play. I was having trouble stopping like the run. I'd already played the computer, so I'm like, I just kind of want a different experience. So I started playing MUT. I bought the 50 bundle. I'm like, I want to record myself opening these packs, because I'm going to open up all these packs, like people are going to want to see it. But I'm like, I didn't have my equipment, so I'm like, I might as well open like 5 or 10 or 15. And so like I really want to just have that like experience where I get to have fun with the game and like maybe spend a couple more bucks than I should and like get that team day one, like get them rolling. And now that I know like not to spend my only 9,000 coins that it took me an entire night to earn on LaShawn McCoy to put them in a collection that only gives you 500 coins, like I'm not going to do that this year. I'm not going to, like I've gone through the MUT growing pains from last season. Like don't collect that CB ball that you could sell for 100,000 coins that makes them untradeable or unsellable. Like don't do that, Farls. Like I've taken my lumps from the early version of MUT this year, so like I want to get off to a fine head start. So I'm pretty excited to just like really have like a long experience with MUT. Like the first 2 days, just be making meals, moving, grooving, pow.
I personally love the sound of both of it. I love that that more people are going to be involved, and I mean that's the biggest thing that Slump and I are all trying to accomplish is just a more enjoyable, bigger community with everyone. So I love the aspect that both of you are into it. The pack openings, the gameplays. It's all going to be very, very exciting. We have to get Slump into opening packs. It's something that he's still, very, very hesitant to do. But I
Slump,
think
if you get a guide, last year our guide had some packs open it. As you can see here, you'll be getting one of these guides from us in the mail. So you'll have packs to open. So if that comes in the guide again this year, we'll see. But there could be some packs in your future.
Now the thing, I mean, I'm not anti-opening packs. I mean, I say this a lot. I just think that for me, one of the things that I really enjoy the most about Ultimate Team is building the team from scratch, and it like having those goals, like just like saying like I want to get that first 99 on my team, so I'll play with a 75 overall team, but I'll save all my coins so I can get that 199 to replace the worst player on my team, and just that 199 is going to jump my overall to an 80, and then I'll save up. I'll play with that 80 team, and I'll save up, and I'll get that 99. Or early on in the game, it's not going to be a 99 probably, but whatever that card is that I want, that I set my sights on, the journey to get there is what I really, really enjoy the most about MUT. It's not opening a pack and getting it right away. It would be exciting to have a card on my team.
Maybe, you never know. You could, you might not though.
Yeah, and that's another thing though, because like those coins, like if I open the pack and I don't get the card, and then I have to start my journey over, it's not. It's one of those things where like for some people they love opening presents, and opening packs is kind of like, am I going to get what I want? And when they get it, they're super excited about it. For me, the satisfaction of having earned it via head-to-head games or saving coins or basically just doing it the hard way, that sense of satisfaction that I get from finally getting the card that I want on my team is huge. And that was what made MUT so exciting for me when I first started playing it this year. Towards the end of the year, I started getting impatient, and people were like, "Hey, I'll give you this card." I'm like, "Yes, hook me up!" So I do have a lot of card donations on my team now. But when I was on the 360, I mean, I built my team to a 99 overall with no coin and card donations at all, without opening packs, only playing online head-to-head games. And it's a slow process, but for me, it's a fun process. And especially early on, if you get started with MUT early, you don't need to have that stacked team in order to win games. What you need are some of the strategies and the techniques that we talked about earlier, and the things that you guys are going to share with us in the Madden 15 guide. So
we'll have to do this again and actually talk about Madden 15.
Yeah.
We said we could talk about gameplay. We didn't even say like one thing about it, but that's for another time.
Yeah.
No, this is great. This is exactly what I wanted. Like I said, I've always been a big fan of both of you. I've been extremely blessed to be able to work with both of you and meet you guys over the last few months, and I've loved every part about it. I'm really excited that you guys were both being able to join us today. I'm really excited also about you guys just enjoying MUT. I know how much time and energy you guys put into the game, and I know if you just put a small amount of that into MUT, that you guys are both going to be pretty dangerous out there. And I would like to see if maybe Farls can keep up with my team next year. you know, see if you can keep that pace with me.
I like went away for Halloween for like a week, and when I came back from Halloween, I was like, I don't know what to do. I was like, I'm done. And then once I reinvigorated myself on Xbox One, but it was like too late.
Thank you guys so much for coming on the show. We really enjoyed having you. Obviously, there's a lot more that we want to talk about that we can't really cram into one podcast session. So hopefully we'll be able to get you guys back on the show sometime and be able to continue this conversation.
We'll do guide giveaways for some of your listeners, definitely around the launch of Madden. Count us in for that.
Awesome. Sounds awesome. Thank you.
That's great. Yeah, and as they maybe release some more info and stuff like that, as some stuff comes out and you guys are really excited about something, if you guys have some time, we would definitely love to be able to get more insight. I'm sure everyone else would as the time gets closer and more information, hopefully a little more detailed our conversations can be. But we do appreciate your time and everything that you do for us and the community and all the time and energy that you guys put into the guides. I know for me, I wouldn't be sitting here in this chair without everything that you guys have pretty much have done, from teaching me how to play the game to how to interact with the community. So thank you.
Won that chair in a bet from a Madden game?
Jokester Falls.
Absolutely.
You literally wouldn't be able to sit in it if we didn't teach him how to play Madden. He would have never won that chair in a bet.
Yes, absolutely. Absolutely. Well, we hope to hear from you both soon, very, very soon. And until then, guys, thank you very much. Scomo, Slump, we're out.